What makes you special?
Well, Guru Nation, we're live. MAGA outcomes analysis. This is a doomsday scenario podcast. I actually don't think it's going to be that bad. I actually think there's potential to be good, but we'll see. People are usually afraid of the unknown. How was your day today, Darshan?
I spoke to a couple of clients potential clients around pharmacovigilance and around compliance, and I have to work on a privacy thing for a site. And what's the other one? Oh, and I have a lead from one of our common friends. So I got to talk to him about it as well. So it's been a busy day. And then you and I just heard that the DEA lead from the incoming president has just withdrawn. So that should be interesting.
Yeah.
And then there's another question about, does telehealth matter in the context of clinical trials? And you and I talked about that before, but we just had a response to our podcast that shows, and I think that might be a conversation worth having as well. But we've got loads to discuss. So
Lots.
Here's the real thing that I'm still struggling with. You were miffed when you came on the call, and
I had a good day though.
Yeah.
It's just one part of it was not so good.
Yeah.
And
why was it a good day? First of all,
it was a good day because we had a functional service provider, CRA, from a big pharma here doing a routine monitoring visit. He said everything's going great. He told our PI we're doing great. I was up there doing Zooms at our other office, which is here. I came here later. We had a biotech in here because we're kind of a high enroller on a study, or on two of their studies. I wouldn't say like the highest, but we're like top
doing well.
10%.
Sure.
And it was like their boss that came here, and she was like really impressed with our staff and how we're operating. And
here's the important question: has she seen you do TikTok videos?
No, but the monitor has, because we've done one together. But I wouldn't dare do that with the boss. But they're good people, man. And they broke my rule of being very skeptical of biotechs that are not publicly funded, although now they are publicly funded. But get this, no CRO. They were not publicly funded. They pay on time. They're pleasant to work with. I mean, they're doing it like new school, the new school way. And we've been working with them now for a year and a half.
Wow.
So it's not just the big sponsors that are, well, some of the big, because now we're getting to where I get miffed, right?
Well, before we get to the myth part, what is your target audience usually? Who do you go for?
On the studies?
Well, which sponsors do you go to?
Oh, everyone. It doesn't matter. We go
for...
but
do you find yourself leaning and looking for the big ones? Like, is that when it makes the most sense for you?
We look for the smaller ones, and we just hope the big ones find us, and they do. The big ones find us because of things like SIP, and because of word of mouth, and some of the CROs. So the big one, Inato, is a big reason why some big sponsors find us. So shout out to Inato. But the small ones, we have better success, like cold pitching, and this was the small one that was here today. 2 years ago, I cold pitched them.
Well, here's a question for you. Mm-hmm. Do you have any disclosures? Is Inato one of your sponsors?
Inato is a sponsor, but I would.
I'm not saying you wouldn't, but FTC reasons, you still got to disclose that.
But don't worry, MAGA's getting rid of that.
Well, maybe eventually. For now, I still want you to be covered.
Right now, shout out to Inato for sponsoring. Shout out to Creo for sponsoring as well. Those are my two sponsors.
There you go.
Of the pod and the basically everything.
Yeah. They've done a good job for you so far. The people are finding you. How are you finding people?
Other clients, like through colleagues, right?
Okay.
There's several ways. There's tools you can use, like Zymewire, like things that track financing activities or funding activities for biotechs, and then you know they're going to probably plan a study, so it's a good time to contact them. And the biotechs are never upset when you contact them out of the blue.
Right.
And a lot of the big pharma also, shout out
So
to
when you
Eli
contact out of the
Lilly,
blue, who are you contacting?
whoever I get.
Just anyone. It doesn't matter. There's no title you're looking for.
There's no title I'm looking for. If my colleague says, hey, Dan, these people are doing a study, here's the email. You didn't get it from me. Then I emailed them, and when they ask how I got it, I said, oh, PIs talk when they go to a conference.
Okay.
That's how they get it.
And do people object?
No.
Except today.
Today, because we sent it to a bunch of colleagues, and 3 of them reached out, and then they followed the breadcrumbs back to me indirectly. But then they sneakily positioned it as a Zoom to give my site a study. So I was like, oh, cool.
Right.
Then I get on, and they're like, yeah, a lot of things are confidential. And I said, well, what are you talking about? Tell me then. Or send me a CDA, or what do you want me to do? I never signed a CDA, by the way.
Right.
All I'm doing, I'm getting a lead from a colleague, sending a lead to more of my colleagues, just paying it forward.
Right.
And everyone kind of knows the unspoken rule. You didn't hear about it from me. This is the indication. Blah, blah, blah.
Why would it be confidential? Wouldn't it be on the clinicaltrials.gov website?
Not yet, because according to this sponsor, it's only when we release press release. And I told them, newsflash, nobody cares about your press release. You guys haven't innovated in 20 years. That's what I told them.
But
they got perturbed.
Perturbed. Wow. Yeah. You know when Dan Safara starts using words like myth and perturbed.
I had to channel my inner stoic, and it failed. Huh?
Are you verklempt?
Kerfuffled.
Oh, you're kerfuffled. Okay, I can respect that.
Yeah. A little kerfuffled. But, it was pretty stupid, man, because I kept telling this person, okay, I apologize.
But why were you apologizing? If the information came, the information came.
I said, sorry for the confusion. I don't want to bombard your email. I get it. Now, can we talk about my site? And she's like, oh, yeah, we're happy to do that. And by the way, the study sucks too. Nobody even wants it. I sent it to 50 sites. Only 3 of them emailed. So the study sucks. They should want more sites emailing them, not less.
What kind of sites were they looking for? Why did you think you were the right fit for them?
We didn't even get that far.
Okay.
We didn't get that far. We just, the indication was something that we might be interested in, but it didn't even sound very appealing. Anyway.
So it's based on an indication, wasn't based on I'm trying to figure out when people are choosing a site, sponsor that you want to work with. Do you look at money, or is that too early? Are you looking at the indication? What's the decision making?
Indication, a mechanism of action.
Really?
Is it another MAB or a NIB? We don't really want more of those.
Really?
Is it a GLP? We love that.
Is the money good on GLPs right now?
Yeah. Is it something brand new that could be interesting? I have doctors that are interested in new stuff. And then there's certain therapeutic areas I know we would crush. This was none of them, which was making me even more mad because this lady kept trying to argue a principle with me. And I'm like, I don't even want, probably don't even want this study, but you're trying to make it a point not to send your precious email to other people.
So what made her think that her email was confidential?
Because on the bottom of an email, it said, this is confidential info.
Which part? That there's a study, or that
there's a study, and they had a brief IE criteria, and this was what was shared by another colleague. And then
is it confidential with the person who signed it? In which case, did they have a CDA in place?
She was trying to find who, and nobody was giving it this person up, because we're strict code of conduct amongst the site owners. And who cares who sent it? Doctors talk all the time at DIA, Bio, ASCO. Nobody cares. It's only this particular sponsor. It's these guys and a few other of these bigger pharma that have this air of superiority. Oh, we don't want our inboxes. Then get better email filters. There's some big pharma, and I love them. We work with one of them. You can't even email them even when you have someone's email. The email filters are insane. Like
Right.
you have to send encrypted messages to get to them. So invest in that shit. I don't care. Like, what do you? She harping for 10 minutes about how secret their pipeline is when they haven't innovated in 20 years. And I told her, and I said, nobody's reading your PR. So do you not want doctors to work with you guys? And she said, no, that's not what we want. We just want you to be aware that you shouldn't be sharing our info. And I said, well, I'm not sharing anything. I don't know anything. How can I share? Right? We're just sending an email and an indication. Like, I thought you're on the Zoom to share with me. Like, I'm here to listen. Instead, I'm being lectured about. And then somebody else came on and said, as you know, by GCP. And I said, GCP has nothing to do with this. What do you mean? GCP? Like, well, GCP what?
IP rules. So people are just throwing words around because it'd be smart.
Yeah,
It'd be
so
feel
that
smarter.
pissed me off. We clearly won't work with them, but I asked them if they want to sponsor SOS, and I told them I'll give them a discount on the booth.
So if you see this organization and you see Dan Safar smiling broadly, you know.
Well, you will see a sponsor there so far, and it's
Mhm.
Takeda, and this is not Takeda.
Nice.
Takeda is one of the amazing sponsors, actually. Not just because they sponsor. Takeda always goes out of their way, from my experiences, talk to the sites. Hey, these are the kind of studies we have going on. We would welcome you to send this to colleagues of yours.
Now Takeda, how did they reach out to you for SOS?
They reached out to the Latinos in clinical research girls, because
Ah.
Takeda is very involved in enrolling minorities, getting underserved communities to do studies. So they pursued via Latinos in clinical research. We've been dealing with Takeda on this very topic for like 3 years.
Interesting.
DE&I and helping underserved communities get access to research and all that kind of stuff.
Are you seeing that translate though? Everyone's been talking about DNI.
DE&I is like its own universe, but when it comes to enrolling minority patients in studies, yeah, there is some work being done on that, specifically in underserved communities like Yuma, which is where I thought this conversation was going to go with the sponsor, but instead, hey, we don't want more emails, but we kind of do, but only if they read our press release. I'm like, what? Which doctor is going to sit there and refresh your page until you released it, and now, okay, let's email you? It's not how it works. And first of all, you're not that special. You're not Eli Lilly. And even
Are you a
Eli
big Lilly
Lilly,
fan?
I'm a huge Lilly fan. Lilly does not act like this. Lilly,
So far, we've established it's not Takeda, it's not Lilly.
It's not Lilly. You can't even email Lilly people. They have tons of guardrails. They do it the right way, and they never complain about sites sharing emails. And you know what sites do when it comes to Lilly? Yeah, you're not going to get a hold of them. You got to go through other people to get to the right people.
Interesting. But now, do you think that in a world where they're going to reduce bureaucracy because Doge becomes a thing, do you see some of these guardrails from the government sort of enabling better connections?
No. Let's be realistic. I would love to say yeah, but I don't see it. I mean, this is like this attitude. It's shared by a couple of the larger ones, and the ones that have reputations already as more douchey.
Yeah.
People can probably guess who it is, and if they guess any of these 5, they're basically talking about the same abstract idea, and it's these people that are entitled. We only work with AMCs. We don't work with private sites. She even mentioned the sites that you work with are newer because you have a YouTube channel, and I said no, we have very established sites also watching. And matter of fact, the lead you sent, I bet you, is from an established site, the one that violated your CDA. So they're just entitled, like, oh, don't email us, and let me go out of my way to do a 20-minute Zoom to lecture you on this. And it didn't work.
So you're going to continue doing it?
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe not with these guys. I don't actually want to do studies with them.
Until they pay you, in which case everything's forgiven.
No, I haven't. This sponsor, the last study I did with this sponsor was like 06.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's when you had more hair and no hair on the chin. I remember
no hair
that.
on the chin and more hair on top. Yes. And now it's the opposite.
I was looking at like one of our
And
old
they haven't
videos.
innovated since then, this group.
Do they have any med that puts hair on your chin? Well, less hair on your chin and more on the top.
They should.
They should, right? By the way, Sahil has a question.
Sahih, go on. Thoughts on starting a research site in a city where there's a big CRO? Yeah, why not? The CRO.
I don't know what the CRO has to do with. It seems like unrelated altogether.
Is it Cincinnati? Or are you worried about MedPace?
I mean, there's tons of them. Whether you're talking Icon,
I
you're
wouldn't
talking
do
MedPay.
a site in a like the sites that struggle are like surrounded by AMCs. I would be a little bit leery of that, especially if the city is small. So like Raleigh, Bay Area is kind of weird too because there's a lot of academic sites. But other than that, I think you're okay. And even in those markets, you could do it with the right angle. It's all about the right angle. Dawit says, this might not be a topic of discussion, but would you mind sharing some opportunities for foreign medical graduate to protect you guys? Foreign medical doctors make amazing coordinators. So I would find a small site in your area, one that shares study leads with other sites all the time, and not an AMC. And they're going to take you on.
Or do an AMC. There's nothing wrong with doing an AMC.
Yeah, it's more, you can go to like 20 small sites and get further than just
You think?
one AMC. You can't just, first of all, just walk into an AMC. But at a small site, you just walk in. AMC is like a maze, man. It's like going to like the MGM hotel, like trying to look for someone.
I like AMCs. I've worked with AMCs. I find that they have Maureen's comments really good, actually.
If they have technology, Maureen Gallagher, shout out to you, by the way. If they have technology U.S. developed in Canada that can regrow teeth, they can definitely regrow hair.
That's funny. But okay, so let's go back. I think that's the same. Wait. Oh, where there's big site.
I meant thoughts on starting a site where there's already a big site. If it's yeah, I would. If they do every therapeutic area you plan on doing, then you might want to look at their reputation if it's trending down. And there's unfortunately no way to like really assess that unless you talk to people in the know. But
I have a comment on that. There, one of my favorite. This is going back to a PR thing. There was a smaller. It wasn't a site. It was actually a doctor's. It was a small like you don't want to call it AMC, like a hospitals, and they were just starting out. They started doing a PR campaign around just pregnancy, and they were like, if you want to do pregnancy, come to our location. Like we'll do the work for you. We'll help you, and blah blah blah. And they just had a really good media blitz. And eventually, they asked the neighborhood, if you had to choose the number one place to go to get to address your pregnancy issues, who would you go to? And the options were this site and a large AMC. And they chose this. Turns out that the AMC they were referring to was Johns Hopkins. So my point being, PR and reputation matters a lot, and it's not just the fact that there's a large site there. It's find your niche, find how you're going to position yourself. For example, I mean, Sile pulls up what unique things can you put forward compared to other sites. Simple things like we're faster. We're not a large AMC. AMCs will be able to do things in they're just a bigger organization. You'll be probably able to work a lot faster. You might say, I don't do every single thing that comes down my way. I only do 4 types of studies. And that's all we're doing. Like we were talking before we got on this video, we were talking GLP-1s. Like everyone wants to get into the GLP-1. Oh, was it actually during the video? I forget. But yeah, I think that's how you position yourself, the experts in a specific space. Obviously there are different strategies. Data becomes another one and all that other stuff. But those are some of the things. What do you see, Dan?
Yeah, I think exactly what you said. You start out somewhere. You build a reputation. Once you build a reputation, it's easier to expand if you choose to do so to other therapeutic areas.
Now, let me ask you that question. You said once you build a reputation, it's easier to expand.
Yes.
Do you, as a small site, you know this, you're always trying to first choose the small spot, but you're always looking for any job you can get so that you can grow and you can stay relevant. how do you enable someone to focus when they really just need the oxygen of money, which can be coming from 50 different places?
Okay, so you got to get that as fast as you can, however you can do it. The initial money to
Sure.
establish your runway and get your first hire any way you can. Doesn't matter, that just do it and be the coordinator yourself. After that, you have a cash cushion, you can be more strategic. Okay, what does my doctor really like? This, and that. Okay, let's go after that. Well, we got this indication. We can do that too. Let's do it. Now you make some more money. And pretty soon you start getting on the map of the CROs. You start getting on things like Shared Investigator Portal. You start putting your experience on Inato. You start going to conferences, meeting other people. Word goes fast. And it's really getting that initial cash flow and sustaining yourself in the first year for starting a site. I'm in year 3 here at Yuma, and we're doing really good. I turned down my first study 2 weeks ago because
Did you?
who needs another map?
But you do realize a map only speaks to the protein structure. It doesn't speak to what it actually does.
I know, but the ones for this therapeutic area kind of accent. So they lower the immune system, and there's things like we have too many of them. Although I hate doing that because we're so young, and I regret doing that, but there's always another study. Which is why I got pissed with these guys today, because it's like I probably wouldn't even want this study. I'm like,
Now,
a
what if they
courtesy
came
to
back?
take your call.
What if they came back and said, look, we've now disclosed it. We'd like to work with you, at least talk to you.
I mean, yeah, I would see what study they have, but I'd probably say no, because I kind of know now that I looked into it. I know what it is. It's not interesting to our doctor. He's not gonna like it. But if they want to sponsor SOS, yeah, they can. They can meet other sites. They need all the help they can get. Contact Inato, guys. It's a sponsor that's not on Inato. I haven't seen them on Inato, at least.
German has an interesting thing. Build a solid positive reputation. You have to work on a stable system of SOPs and get a site staff to work on them.
I think that's to build a solid positive reputation. Yeah, of course. And so you'll like this, Darshan. I'm becoming. Your voice of reason is in my head a lot.
Good.
Yes, it's very good. This guy emailed me 2 days ago on LinkedIn. Hey, do you know anyone who sells SOPs? And then I went down this kind of philosophical road with him. Why would you? First of all, they're like 10 grand. And you're going to have to customize them all yourself anyways. Why not just do it? Like, do it yourself. Watch my video. I have like a 2-hour webinar on what you need in an SOP. And then actually I have like 3 videos on this.
What about the course we're doing?
Site Owner Academy.
There you go.
I didn't even pitch that. I was like, just write it yourself, man. You have to follow your SOP.
Yeah. The
biggest finding in an audit is you don't follow your SOP. One of the biggest.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with German on one thing, which is you want to actually. So I've been advising a couple of different sites, and their big thing is, I constantly am putting out fires. And I'm like, you're putting out fires because you don't have stable processes. You need to decide what they are. You need to outsource. You need to create a key man, especially if you're looking at an M&A transaction in the future, because you don't want to get caught up staying there afterwards. So you want a key man provision. But yeah, I mean, that was a conversation I had earlier today with a site. It's always fun.
That's good. But at least they're thoughtful about, the questions they have and the issues that they're getting into.
So Sahil had another question, by the way, because he loved your channel.
You the man. Thoughts on medical device versus drugs versus therapy. I love this channel. Thank you. I own a medical device company and plan on a site as a researcher. I think you need to do both.
Just questions after question. He's on he already has another question lined up.
Are you an AI? Like, you're very productive. This is faster than ChatGPT. I have developed a software that can automate patient recruitment for PI and
I don't know if I believe that.
Yeah. I mean, we have one too. It's called Patient Ace.
But they automate patient recruitment?
You still need human involvement.
Right.
It's not fully all automated, but at least it automates the lead generation.
Okay.
The next step is to integrate with a calendar, which I mean, that's the next
Oh,
step.
you could just put Calendly. You could connect it Calendly, right?
Right. Like you can theoretically have a coordinator give access to the calendar, and then the AI can do it. The agent can do it.
Have you used the AI like that yet? Because I know they've been talking
No.
about that.
No, I've done things like in the research. I use ChatGPT every day for research, like for my site. I don't use it that often. Sometimes to look into contraindications. If we can't get a hold of a clinician, I just want to answer quickly. Or protocol issues, like how do you wash down off of this medication? Like what's the safe way to wash down?
What do you mean by you mean wash out, or do you mean
Wash out, yeah. Like there's some studies where you have to wash off of certain things. And
Yeah. It's usually like they tell you 60 days or 30 days or 7 days.
right, but they tell you like they don't give you a schedule for every drug, so you got to like look it up and see what's common, and then you run it by your clinician, and they're like, yeah, that's about right. Some of these, but that's you get the answer faster, basically. Like,
You know what the answer is? 7.5 half-lives
really?
for the most part.
Seven
Not
and
giving
a half half-life?
not clinical advice, just to be clear.
Or God forbid, medical or legal.
Exactly. Or legal.
Sahil.
5 to 7.5 half-lives. That's usually the general rule of thumb. But that becomes a problem for a drug like amiodarone. Do you know that? Do you know what the half-life of amiodarone is? It's like 270 days.
Oh wow.
So yeah, not for amiodarone. Sile doesn't like me. He doesn't
Sahil,
want to show it to me.
I think you need to start this site, and you need to do both medical device and drugs. Like you can't, if you want best possible outcome, you don't be choosy in the beginning. You could be choosy later. Like, hey, we're getting a lot of these kind of trials. Let's turn down the Me Too's and just focus more on this. Although I don't like to be too choosy unless the drug is just garbage. There's some of these drugs are just garbage. And I'm not a clinician, but I ran it by my doctor, and they're like, no, this is a terrible study.
What decides for him if it's a terrible study? Just not interesting?
Like he knows his patients better than anyone, so
Sure.
he's gonna look at it and say, I don't have anyone that's gonna want to do this for reasons XYZ, or I'm not gonna find anyone because this is almost impossible. And then I just basically go back and say, yeah, we're not doing this. Or like sometimes you have like 8-hour visits or 10-hour visits. You're like, yeah, we're okay with a different study. But when you don't have any, you really start thinking about those kind of trials. And you got to get the bag initially.
Maureen's comment.
Maureen,
I don't even fully know
when great coordinators want to move into a challenge but don't want to travel too much, have them develop local MD sites into research site. Yeah, I know.
For your group, I didn't understand that part of it. The for your group part.
Like for your site, if you have a site.
Okay, now I'm with you. Okay.
Yeah, like actually, that's a great point. Instead of taking this bullshit study and making my coordinator like be in the office doing study startup on something we'll never enroll, go out, talk to like 10 specialists, and one of them's going to say, yeah, let's start getting studies here. Maureen's absolutely right. The opportunity cost of some of these bullshit studies is just not sustainable.
How many sites do you have?
We're
how many
just one
here
in Yuma.
Just one?
Well, we have 6 specialists, so they each have their own private practice.
Okay, but it's all through one location.
No, 6 locations.
6 locations and 6 specialists at each location.
We have a hub and spoke. So we have like where I'm sitting is like our main central. There's not affiliated with any doctor. And then each spoke is like a different doctor's clinic. So we'll go to different places and see patients.
Are you an employee? Are you a consultant for the doctor, or is the doctor a consultant for you?
Doctor is a contractor or LLC member.
For you?
Yes, together.
We'll leave that one alone.
They're a contractor until they graduate to be an LLC member if they want.
No, I don't think that's the relevant part. You and I discussed the corporate practice of medicine.
Yeah. Every state has something. Yeah. I mean, that's uncharted territory.
I'll show you. I think I showed you this part. But
where's that NIH thing? Is that
no, hold on. I'll show you another one.
You got something interesting. This title's misleading because there's nothing MAGA about this podcast so far.
Almost got there. Can you see it?
Let me put it on the screen.
This is a presentation I'm doing soon, but
Wow.
look at the definition of practice of medicine according to Texas. Practice of medicine, full-time basis engaged in diagnosing, treating, blah, 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 such as, or performing such actions with respect to individual patients for compensation shall include clinical medical research.
Wow. So what's the meaning for this in Texas?
Well, in Texas, it's very clearly clinical research is part of the practice of medicine. And I would argue that I'm not necessarily sure it wasn't in other situations. I would argue it more likely than not is.
Interesting.
So you can take it off the screen for a second. So my point being, for those people who you then have situations where people are practicing medicine without being authorized to do so. But really, that's a different discussion for a different day. So I've been advising a lot of my clients on that front, which is interesting.
Like coordinators? Or
Oh no, site owners.
Oh, site owners.
Yeah,
Wow.
because
See, I kind of removed myself from the clinical operation. Like,
that's exactly where you want to be. You don't want to be doing the clinical operation.
Right.
But the question is your agreement reflecting that
with the PI or with the
PI or with the site?
Well, I'm the owner. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
This
Different conversation for a different day.
Yeah, this is where you guys come in.
And, or telehealth issues. MedVector.
Your bag.
Raise that right now.
MedVector.
Not right now. Let me pull it up on LinkedIn.
Okay.
Scott.
Wait, MedVector. You have some good, interesting things. So far, nothing MAGA though.
No, we've got interesting things here because it's a conversation you and I had. Can you pull it up? You and I had this conversation. Edie highlighted, and she's like, we mentioned this to Scott and his position. We were talking about telehealth.
Scott got into it with you guys?
Yeah, well, I haven't gotten into it yet with him. So Scott, if you can see this, you can feel free to respond.
Shout out to Scott Stout. Did you know I'm a MedVector investor?
Are you an investor or are you what do you call it? Investor it is then.
Yeah, no, I invested in no, they never sponsored, but they're
they were not sponsored. That's what I was asking.
They're not a SOS sponsor. My bad. It's a micro investment. It's not a.
Fair enough, but you believe in them.
I do.
So
I believe in that potential they have. I don't know if like the first couple of versions are actually what's going to work, but I think they're trying enough things to eventually, and they're smart people over there. So
yeah, I think the conversation went off. So I'd probably have to talk to him first to understand where he was.
Scott's a cool guy, and he's an SOS ally.
They're an ally. Ooh, that's a powerful word. But here, both of us wrote about both Kyle, who's chair at Foley, and I wrote about acquisition of clinical trials in the context of.
Okay. So the biotech that was here today, they told me, and this is now multiple anecdotal evidence from multiple sponsors. I am so glad you're not a part of a site network. We're having a lot of issues with site networks, particularly in larger cities, and recycled patients.
Tell me more.
Just putting the same patient in different trials, which I don't necessarily see anything wrong with it, but
you might have washout issues to the point you were making.
It's not the washout issues. She's basically saying there are no records sometimes and people are just bullshitting.
Oh, so professional patients, that's the issue.
Kind of, yeah. And this is like now the 10th or so complaint from a very high up. This was not just the monitor. This was like the boss's boss.
So there's actually a solution. Hold on, I can even tell you who it is.
There's that group that identifies patients, right? Correct. No one's using that though.
Why is that though?
Because
you don't want to know the answer.
As a site, you don't want to know the answer, and as a sponsor, you just hope that that's not the case. That's really why. Yeah. Plus, it's expensive. They should have made that cheaper, in my opinion.
I don't know how expensive it was. Do they need writers? Helen.
Who, the biotech?
I don't know who she's talking
I would
about.
not apply at the company that I had an issue with today. They're bad news. Everything about
Just to be clear, they do use writers. They use a lot of writers.
Who is you referring to, Helen? Medical writer? Helen, the contract economy, fractional employment. I think this is kind of, and now we can kind of tie it into Doge,
Right.
which is Department of Government Efficiency. I think contracting and fractional work
Right.
is going to be a new trend we're going to see.
I feel like we're already seeing that. The problem you're going to face as you continue is going to be IP protection. So the more people who do fractional work, the more likely it is that they're going to know your information. They might be working with other people who should not know your information. So how is that going to play itself out? And I don't know how that plays out. It's an interesting dilemma because the truth is no one wants to pay full time, which means that you've got to enable part-time work. But if you enable part-time work, your lawyers are not going to be the most happy people in the world.
Everyone's after efficiency, though, and this biotech that was here, they seem to do it right. I mean,
Yeah?
they don't have any CRO. They do everything in house. If this
I don't
was
know
a
if I trust
big
the biotech
farm,
to do that so early. It's a startup kind of thing.
they're doing it. We're not having.
Are they doing it right though?
We haven't had major issues. We've had paid on time. We've had supplies more or less like no issues. I mean, comparable to any big sponsor. I don't know.
I always
Maybe it's not that complicated like Elon and
none of
them
this
say.
stuff's super complicated, right? But the fact is, in the end, you've got to live with the results that you get, and
Yeah.
and the last thing you want is someone coming in later on and Monday morning quarterbacking it.
Yeah.
There's this saying, no one got fired for hiring IBM. And
Sure.
the reason that saying exists is because if someone says, why this thing's shoddy, you should have hired someone good, you go, I hired IBM. In the same way, if someone says your quality, your program sucks, and the FDA, if the FDA says that, you go, PPD did it. And or ParExcel did it, and they'd go, oh, okay, so they know what they're doing, so maybe we're wrong. And that's what you're often counting on.
Wait, the FDA would say maybe we're wrong?
The FDA is not going to like sit and challenge someone who does this 50,000 times every single day, right? So that's the thought process.
But that 2016 GCP revisions, the FDA said the sponsor's responsible for the study. Doesn't matter.
Absolutely. But the sponsor's responsible does mean that it's sort of like the PI is responsible. The fact is that everyone else has to still do their job right.
Right. I remember you and I talked about this in 2016. I remember I was sitting in my other office in Orange County, 3 hours to my west.
Wait, so let me get this straight. You're 3 hours to your west is Orange County, but 30 minutes to the other side is Mexico?
30 minutes to the south is Mexico. Yeah. 2.5 hours east is Phoenix.
Damn, you're in the middle of everywhere but nowhere.
Exactly. All at once. Good movie. But 2016, you and I, the first time Trump won, you and I talked about this exact thing because the GCP revisions came out right around then, right? And
I don't remember any of this, but keep going.
we have the receipts. I have the...
No, I believe you. I just have a terrible memory.
Wait, the lights turned off. Hold on. Keep them entertained while I turn them back on.
Should I do a dance? I might be looking like I'm having a seizure, to be honest, but... Oh, the lights are coming on. Let's see what he's got. Did you decorate your own office?
We have these energy savers here. Okay.
Did you decorate your own office?
No, Gracia did. She's going to do Christmas. I asked her what the turnaround time is on it. She said she has to go to Target.
What is the ROI on that?
The ROI is actually, if it wasn't for the videos, it would be much less, of course. But it still does something for the employees and the patients and the monitors. Makes it festive, but it throws gas on it when you're going live or doing videos every day.
So, by the way, have you gotten to the more videos you're talking about?
Yeah, on the shorts, I doubled my views, but it's not translating to more subscribers. So I need everybody to go right now, subscribe to me and subscribe to Darshan's channel.
That's right. That's right. Because the truth is, if you do this right, you're going to be able to come check us both out at SOS. That's right. You are on the speakers list. I got to talk to you about what we can do for you. Oh yeah, I'm in. Yeah. I am signing up. I was actually talking to someone we both know, and we're both coming to SOS.
Wait, who is this other person?
Event. Miss Edie Edens.
Ah, she was a panelist.
I know.
She killed it. Edie, let me just go out on the limb. Not on the limb. Let me make this statement. Edie argued paper in the paper versus eSource debate. She took paper. I am a Creo user. She had me convinced at the end that I'm wrong for using ESA. She's that good. This girl is something else. I watched that and I was like, this girl is a professional.
We,
We have the
we're
audio
gonna.
for that too. We didn't have the video, but we have the audio.
Well, is she presenting this year?
I don't know. I
Well,
have to look at the Google sheet. We were trying to mix it up from not everyone from last year, but I think maybe seen her name on there too. I honestly don't know. I've been
fair enough.
a little bit out of the loop.
No. You now have minions.
It's not minions. I mean, these are like my colleagues.
Sure. But
LICR.
I believe you called yourself the boss, was it, earlier on?
I'm not the boss.
Uh-huh.
I'm the boss here in Yuma Clinical Trial, yeah.
Okay.
For
Oh,
SOS.
these are co-workers in other businesses and stuff.
Yeah, like Latinos in research. These are my colleagues,
Oh.
Yeah.
I thought these are like minions within like.
No. SOS, like we're all partners, equal
Got it.
partners. And where I'm sitting, I'm the boss. Unless Jaime Valles is here, he's my partner. But yeah.
So how do you decide whether you're going to take a partner or not?
Whew. Number of things. Is it going to be my main business or a side business? If it's my main, I know I'm going to be very much involved. So I have to ask myself, do I even need one? In the case of a site, I'm not a clinician, so it made sense to have a nurse practitioner who is very mobile and not stuck to one practice. So he can go with us wherever the patient is going to be. And he's become a multi-specialist in that regard. So it was a no-brainer for him. You have to have incredible value. When it's a side business that has potential, like SOS, basically, or like Latinos in clinical research, it has to be, I mean, clearly I need partners. It has to be someone I know and I trust. That's really it. And I enjoy being around. If it's not those three things, like, I wouldn't do it. If we're going to succeed, we'll succeed together. If we fail, we fail together.
And I think the reason I'm saying this is that I think a lot of people want to either create partnerships or not. One of the things I try to avoid is partnerships because I think whether or not you trust the person, it's just hard to arrive at the same place. So I try to I found for me, it's harder to be partners. There are still some people, there are multiple businesses I'm involved in where I am a partner. But if I could divest myself of them in an easy way, I probably would.
Yeah.
It's just more complicated.
I mean, I'm I think our roles are established at this point. Like, if it's not Yuma Clinical Trials, I'm actually an operator here, like a Save Our Sites, right? Or a Latinos in Research. I mean, it's clear my role's like marketing, and
Right.
I'm going to stay out of selling sponsorships. Unless I'm asked to help, I'll do it.
Right.
So we all know our roles kind of, because we all know each other.
Right.
It works.
So what do you think is the most important part of the job? Is it marketing? Is it operations? Is it clinical? Is it something else? Obviously, all have to work together, but
as a site for a site,
yeah.
Most important part of a site. Wow. I think access to patients.
Mm.
Because if you don't have that, you like there's nothing there if you don't have that. If you do have that, you can build around that.
Interesting. And is there what are the hardest patients to find? Or is it rare disease states or something else? Okay.
Rare disease, but then some of these sponsors make these crazy protocols. Like literally no one like this with this condition exists. And you really have to go very underserved because, I mean, I had one study and they canceled it within like 2 months, but they wanted their A1Cs above 7 and insulin naive. And I mean, yeah. And you're like, I told my PI this. He laughed just like you, right? He's like, do you know if they're above 5.8, we freak out here. Like,
so just to be clear, I would have qualified for that study at one point in my life. Because I didn't know where it came from, but I had a HbA1c above 7, and I was insulin naive.
Wow,
I would be unusual.
Yeah, but you get studies like that where it's like, not normal patient like prototype. This is not the archetype of a patient. Maureen, what's up? GLP-1 receptors. I'm dating myself as I did the trials for tryptoamylin type 2 and later severe hypoglycemia. Post-gastric bypass. I hate to see this in every chiropractor office and even online for sale.
I have no idea what you're saying.
She's probably referring to the gastric emptying.
Gastric bypass the trials. I got that part, but she's
No, but
seeing
like one of the purported side effects that they're worried about is the delayed gastric emptying.
sure, I get
And
that. But why
so-
chiropractors advertising this?
Yeah, I don't know. Someone is. Let us know because Darshan will get after them.
I am not going after anyone.
We'll go together. We'll make
You
them a
don't
research
want the
thing.
clinical trials guru after you.
No, I'll send them the contact of that sponsor that upset me. We'll send them the email. Herman, in opinion, one of the most important topics of a site is that you can really perceive and give a service of excellence to its three main clients: sponsors, staff, and patients. Yeah. You have really 4 customers as a site owner. It's what Herman said, and then doctors. I think the clinicians are. I mean, he's
Ooh,
considering that staff, but
sure.
I agree 100.
Are doctors more important than the rest of the staff?
No,
Okay. Is that controversial?
no, but the sponsors don't see it that way because they want the name on paper and they want the experience on the resume, even though the coordinators are really the ones you should be looking at. We get turned down for a study, unfortunately, today because they insisted on a specialist, and we had this specialist, but she didn't have enough experience as a PI because we just met her recently. But she's a sub-I on a bunch of our trials, and our PI would be the sub-I who has a lot of it. And they said, no, this is a competitive study, and we kind of want the brand name of the experienced PI. So it happens, man. They lost a good site too because we would have crushed it on that one. Crushed. Disappointing. That happened today too. So today was like a mixed bag of good and bad. But that bad I could live with.
Right.
That's just taking your lumps.
Right.
This other one was like a little bit deceitful, a little bit like holier than thou. Like, get out of here.
We still haven't gotten to like Trump. We still haven't talked about Doge. We haven't talked about Shiba Inu either.
Guess Shiba Inu's back.
Yeah, Shiba Inu's up right now.
I made some good money off of that a few years ago.
Did you?
I knew it was hot potato, so I didn't want to hold it too long, but I think I tripled the investment, and I ended up buying some stuff for the house because that's when we moved here.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've
Weight
learned
loss.
that I try to keep timing things like the crypto, and I am not the right guy for it.
I think crypto itself has stable and completely speculative things.
Yeah.
I'm a Bitcoin guy, but I should have held a lot more than I did, but I ended up having.
I bought it at 5,600 and I sold it at 5,625, I think. And I was like, this is too much.
Man, how many coins did you have?
I was like 6 or 7 at that point.
Oh shit!
Yeah, but that was a long time ago.
Do you want to show your NIH thing as we? I'm going to change the title of this because this is not MAGA. This is Dan rants for an hour, and Darshan consoles him. But thank you for being like my Jiminy Cricket in my head throughout the day, man. Like,
always happy.
Dude, you're rubbing off on me.
I can tell. You're like making all these smart decisions.
I don't know if that one. Well,
I think so. By
the follow-up email was all you.
I can't see this. Oh, hold on.
Share the screen. Yeah, no, I got it. Okay.
So here's my first question from a MAGA perspective. Is this really you think?
Wait, where's your MAGA hat?
I don't have a MAGA hat.
Oh, I see.
I'm talking from a President Trump coming in perspective. They're talking about getting rid of the NIH.
That's crazy. Like that, I mean, look, I'm the first one to tell you guys there's egregious waste at every government/quasi-government agency out there. A horrible waste. But to get rid of, and I think that's hyperbole. But I would still prefer that to just throwing more money at it and letting it just rot. Like, they're all kind of the same outcome, except one, the taxpayer is stuck with the bill.
Hold on, I'm trying.
That's my
those
opinion.
people.
NIH was in the crosshairs in 2016. We had a discussion on this.
Did we?
Then, and we're talking the same things now.
Well, you'll see changes at CDC and even FDA. Well, we know that.
Yep.
NIH gets $48 billion for biomedical research and has historically enjoyed bipartisan support. but he wants to cut the budget. My question is, why does someone who was in real estate really have such strong feelings about the NIH?
It's not him; it's who he put around him.
It's RFK.
Well, it's not RFK because in 2016 he had the same
Did he?
sentiments. Yeah, we're on record talking about this in 2016.
Donald Trump,
16 or 17.
2016
in his first term.
NIH. Let's see.
Massive cuts. I mean, it's almost the same story.
Well, that's the thing. I'm not seeing that.
The first one.
But first of all, this is actually just a article from NIH. He just lowered the budget, but I don't think he was talking about getting rid of the NIH.
No. He wasn't talking getting rid back then. He was talking massive budget cuts though back then.
But I don't think that's smart.
But
now the real question, if you really want to talk disruption, I think, and you know how Trump wants to really change, like he wants to get rid of Obamacare. I think people would be really pissed off if he got rid of Obamacare without something better. I think that something better would be Medicare for all. And the question is, will anyone go for it? Will the Republicans go for it? But because I don't think the Democrats could really object and you could really just make that happen. The question is,
and that's the thing, man. In the richest country in the world, you know, I agree with you. We need to take care of our people.
Yeah.
But we have to stop spending on things like helping people on other sides of the globe when we're in debt and we're running $1 trillion deficit every year. It's just not sustainable. So cuts do have to come, and they have to come everywhere in order for this to happen.
I think we both agreed that cuts have to come, because I don't think we've really gone through that process of evaluating where do the cuts come from. I think going back to what is our core principle and are we getting there is going to be essential. The question, however, is what is the cost of the cuts? Not in terms of money, but risk is what I'm referring to.
Yeah, so. And as far as waste, I mean, it's not just government agencies, but nonprofits. Like, you know, at those grocery stores when they say round up for charity.
Yeah,
and I always do. But did you know for every dollar, like 80 cents go to the admin of that, and then
not always. So I don't know if I serve on like multiple charity boards.
Yeah.
Charity navigator.
And other parts of it go to the store itself. And like what trickles down to the actual.
You can actually look up charities and see how good they are.
There should be a way to actually do it. Like,
yeah, there are. Like this. Look at this.
What website is this?
This is Charity Navigator. I've never been to this one, to be clear, but I know that there are websites like this. But let's just pick this one up for argument's sake. I have no idea what it looks like or what the details are. But it's a 501c3. It's tax deductible. Charity scores 100%. Why? It tells you exactly how 100% independent board members. This is how the money's used. Blah, blah, blah. Liabilities, assets. Expense ratio is 70%.
Admin spend.
So that's their spend, right?
Mm-hmm.
Program expenses 70%.
I see.
But let's take someone that wasn't ranked well. This
program expenses 30%.
Yeah, which is, it doesn't seem that bad.
No, that's a site. That's like a site.
This is the expense. Is 62%, and this is how they split it up.
Program expense 62%. So that means 62 cents of every dollar goes to the admin, and then 48
I thought it's the other way around. It's the ratio.
Oh, so program expense ratio. Got you.
It's program expenses divided by total expenses. Okay. So you're right. No, actually, you're right. So program expenses will be 60% for every $100. That's pretty high.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like these things are. This is across the board, not just government. Government's way worse. I mean, the government. We should have government expenditure ratio and see what.
Here's my question: why are these people working for free though? Unless they're board members. Yeah, you know what? They probably are. These two are probably board members, but this clerk, she's an RN. Why is she working for free? Now she might be because she cares about the cause. I find that interesting.
Point is, efficiency is possible everywhere, especially government agencies.
Very much so. I think government agencies need it. It's kind of overdue. So I'm happy to see that happen.
Right. And I think getting rid of the NIH is crazy unless you have a better alternative ready to go. Right.
I agree. And I'm not sure I'm seeing them move into like you'd have to completely change how all the organizations work. Like maybe there's some way of going CDC, NIH, and some of the other organizations come together and share resources. expect RFK to move homeopathic stuff to
Into
clinical
clinical
trials.
trials.
I think that'd be great because I think so many of them would fail, be hilarious.
But who would pay for that? Would that be just the taxpayer?
Yeah, but I don't think you need to go too far. Do you know what the how homeopathy works? Oh, so this is the actual theory of homeopathy. The logic is less of something is more powerful than more of something. So you take a drop of, say, 1 milligram of drug, and that's way too much. Let's say 1 milligram of drug. You put it into one sort of little thing of water. It's less powerful than if you take that same milligram and put it into a swimming pool. And I go, that makes no sense. There's no logic. But I think that's part of the. So I say go do the study. If it works out, I'm wrong, and I'm happy to be wrong. But that defies all science I know of.
So who's going to fund those studies then? Just private companies?
Actually, there've been studies on homeopathy. So,
and I know nutraceuticals as well, but usually those are not good budgets.
Oh no, I think we can. Here, this is coming straight. Here's the process. Law of minimum dose. The lower the dose, the greater the effectiveness. Many homeopathic products are so diluted that no molecules of the original substance remain. And I don't know how that works.
You see Maureen's other comment, 65% slash of government institutions, including NIH and
I mean, that's a very specific number. I'm not saying she's wrong. I just don't know how she has that number. It's possible. Totally possible.
Yeah.
I think Helen's comment is Eli Lilly is bad to get a hold of. That's interesting too.
That's the one I was talking about. Not bad to get a hold of, hard to get a hold of.
Right.
Like their filters are.
They have good filters.
Yeah. And respect. And that doesn't make me hate them. What makes me hate them is like this elitist attitude, like I shouldn't be contacting you. Well, then spend some of your money to prevent people from reaching out.
And that's how you guys survive as smaller sites. So yeah.
I mean, it's just a habit to do. Like network, see what's new. Like that's how you get studies. It's not I even told them this is every day we do this. You're not special. This is nothing special.
We should call this. It's been over an hour.
Yes.
But we need to do another one. And
we have to do every week. You're going to be on.
We're doing this every week now.
The title for YouTube is going to be something else because this is not on YouTube yet. But we'll figure out something.
I'm excited.
Like, subscribe, comment, share. Go follow Darshan right now.
That's right.
Bye-bye.
Peace.